there's no pleasant way to describe this.
There's no polite way.
You know, I have written the word hate. I wrote a series of... I wrote the words hate a number of times. Let me just do a quick search here to tell you. This was the Eric Young, Mr. Anderson segment. I wrote the word hate 372 times in a row. That's how much I hated that segment.
I may need to edit that some.
No. If you take out a single one of the hates in that thing, Vinny, I'll kick your ass. In fact, I may add more.
It was awful. It was awful. It was awfully awful.
The other thing I got to say is, I unleashed so much hatred in the Impact Report that I don't have any more for this show.
Right.
So I kind of ruined the show for myself by expressing. That's why you can't take any of the hatred out of the newsletter, because the hatred needs to be somewhere.
Maybe you should try doing a dramatic reading of your notes. Read it like a script, like a book on tape.
No. That segment. Mr. Anderson against the not-so-great Muta.
That's what they called him, everyone.
Yeah.
That was their idea of comedy.
By the way, let me repeat. Mr. Anderson is in the main event of the next pay-per-view, which, by the way, is not a TNA B show, which is a show that does 8,000 buys. This is a show that they're going to put a lot of effort into, and so maybe it will draw 15,000 buys. Mr. Anderson is in the main event of that show, and here he is at the top of the hour in a fucking comedy match with Eric Young. Now, he's dressed up as 1989 Sting. Why? I mean, can I at least get, like, a logical explanation for why Mr. Anderson is dressed as a 1989 Sting? Is this tribute supposed to make Sting mad?
I guess.
Is it supposed to make him so angry that he wants to beat up Mr. Anderson on pay-per-view?
I suppose.
You know, if I were Sting, and some guy came out in my 1989 gear with the haircut and the face paint and the whole 9 yards, I'd be flattered.
He's trying to be like me.
I wouldn't be like, boy, I'm going to kick this guy's ass. I'm going to be like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know? So, apparently we're supposed to believe that Sting is just like, he cannot believe the temerity of this man to dress up like 1989 Sting. And by the way, I'm a 35-year-old man. I was in middle school in 1989.
Yeah.
I was in junior high in 1989. I was 14 years old. I'm 35 now. I was 14 when Sting dressed up like this. So they come out.
If you were born the day after Sting dressed like this, you can now legally buy a drink.
Yeah.
21 years.
So they come out here, and Anderson proceeds to have a comedy match.
If you want to call it that.
He goes to one corner, and he runs to the other side of the ring, and he does a stinger splash into the corner with no one there. And he goes, oh, my chest. And then he does the same thing in the other corner and goes, oh, my chest. And then he looks up in the air and he goes, woo, like Sting. And at this point, Eric Young decides this is bullshit.
This is too stupid for me. I am above this.
The guy who, 2 segments earlier, was doing a bullshit comedy segment with Mr. Anderson while wearing 2 belts. Do you remember he had 2 belts, Vinny?
He had 2 belts, and he was talking about an epic battle with a man named Gunner.
Yes. This was too much bullshit for Eric Young. He goes to leave the ring, and Anderson proceeds to slap him.
The guy who wears a shirt saying, I love tag teaming.
So he slaps him. They proceed to have a match, at which point Mike Tenay tells us that we should not underestimate Eric Young's ability. After all the fucking years of bullshit, now we're supposed to take this guy seriously. And then, in the middle of this bullshit match, when I read the spoilers for this, that Eric Young blew mist and won, people tried to defend this bullshit by saying, but there was interference and he used mist. The interference consisted of Gunner running down and distracting the referee. Gunner did not distract Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson kept wrestling. He kept doing moves, at which point Eric Young sprayed mist in Mr. Anderson's eyes, he rolled him up, and he pinned him. Eric Young pinned Mr. Anderson while doing a great Muta gimmick as Mr. Anderson was playing Sting from 1989 en route to Mr. Anderson's title match at the next fucking pay-per-view. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I can't argue.
I mean, this was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He got pinned by Eric Young. He got pinned by Eric Young when the interference, in fact, was a man named Gunner, who I believe was trying to attack Eric. He was trying to help Mr. Anderson, and he still got pinned.
You know, I've seen a lot of stupid shit on Impact.
Not anymore.
This was dumb, even by Impact standards.
I cannot think of anything worse.
Seriously, somebody find me something dumber than this, because you won't be able to do it. This was like the absolute pinnacle of the stupidity of this company, was this segment right here. This circumcised...
What?
Circumcited? I've given up.
No.
This circumcised every dick angle.
There are some who consider circumcision to be genital mutilation, and that's what this was like.
I just couldn't believe
They
this.
cut themselves off at the cock.
I just couldn't believe this.
This was amazing.
This literally blew my mind.
They think this will sell pay-per-views.
No, they can't. I mean, really, they can't.
I don't know. That happened, everyone, just as we have described.
That's like a fucking... I won't even say a chapter. That's like part 2 in a Death of TNA book.
That is the book.
The whole book, this segment.
Why TNA died. Mr. Anderson lost to Eric Young in a comedy match.
God damn, this was dumb.
Oh, my God. So, yes, to review.
And this was on the same show that Eric Bischoff did that segment where he explained that they have a view of wrestling.
Their idea of what a wrestling show is not our idea.
At which point, Jeff Jarrett said, they're idiots.
They're clueless.
They're clueless.
They're clueless.